Okay, let's talk about inflation, which is a
Yeah.
hot topic at the moment. Yesterday, the Reserve Bank raised the interest rates for the 12th time in 14 months. That's going to cause enormous pain. Now, the debate is around inflation. It seems to be stuck in the in between left and right. It's either caused by corporate greed or high wages. But smarter economists know what the real cause of inflation is, don't they, Senator? What is it?
Well, the main driver of inflation in Australia at the moment is the federal budget, and Jim Chalmers has unleashed a large amount of discretionary spending, $14 billion in the coming financial year, and that balloons out to over $40 billion of new discretionary spending in the forward estimates. And that is money that is making the Reserve Bank's job so much harder. So Canberra is piling on the new expenditure and the Reserve Bank is trying to put the brake on. And that's why the country is seeing higher and higher interest rates, because the Reserve Bank is trying to compete with this flood of money from Canberra. Now, there's a table 3.2 in Budget Paper 1, which sets it out, if you don't believe me. But that sets out this additional spending, which is $14 billion in the upcoming financial year of new money.
Yeah, well, I mean, the irony is that the absolute insanity of it is that as soon as there's hints of inflation, which is, as you say, caused by government expenditure, this government's response is to spend more money and pretend that it's going to alleviate the cost of living. That doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, you can see here that the Labor Party is sending out their backbenchers to attack Philip Lowe. Philip Lowe is doing his job. He has been raising the cash rate because he's trying to fight inflation. And he's fighting inflation in this way, in this aggressive way, because Canberra has not been capable of pulling back on spending. And in fact, they're doing worse than that. They're spending new money. So until Chalmers and Albanese are able to get to a contractionary budget stance, the interest rates will continue to rise. And that is going to make life so much harder for families and small businesses. So it's a pretty simple proposition. While Canberra is spending more money, the Reserve Bank will increase interest rates, and this cycle will continue. So this latest interest rate is really on Chalmers' head, and I hope that people are prepared to look at the facts here. There's lots of misinformation, but the core fact is that the federal budget is fueling inflation and higher interest rates.
Well, let's look at some other facts, though. I mean, your government, you were a member of the previous government, one of the biggest spending governments in Australian history. Why should we think that you've got the answers?
There's no question that too much money has been spent in the previous cycle as well. And we now need to be honest about that and say that the only way we can get inflation and monetary policy into its desired range, which is 2 to 3% inflation over the year, is to adopt a de-inflationary or disinflationary stance. And we're nowhere near that. I mean, we're not even running a neutral position. I mean, the government is claiming that it's a neutral position because they've legislated energy caps. But does anyone really believe that the government can legislate out inflation? I mean, it's kind of funny. I wish it was funny.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So really, until you see that table 3.2 have no new spending in it, I don't think we're going to be able to get ourselves out of this cycle.
Well, that's pretty grim for the people who are counting their dollars and cents at the moment after the latest interest rate rise.